Welcome to Talk Talk Punch. Thank you so much for joining us for both our audio podcast and the YouTuber viewers. I am Brody, joined by Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
And the Tony Stark of this Iron Legion, Charlie Hickman.
If I could but grow a Tony Starkian mustache, my whole life would be different.
That makes us drones, though, bro. We're drones if it's Iron Legion. You didn't say Avengers, you said Iron Legion, which is drones.
Yes, technically. No, I've used the Avengers already as a nickname. I had to come up with something else.
Good
Iron
point.
Legion.
Good point.
Charlie, I'll be your drone.
Brody. Right here.
All right. Well, if you haven't already, we'd love it if you subscribed, so that way you can come back here every Wednesday to hang out with us and see what we're talking about. Kind of like this week's topic. We're doing one of our reviews. We haven't done a review in a while, and now that Ant-Man Quantumania is streaming on Disney+, we said,
Ant-Man
you know what?
and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, or Ant-Man 3, whatever you want to call it. It's on Disney+, and you can watch it. Everybody can watch it, so long as you have a Disney+ membership. So for the folks that maybe didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, or maybe they have a family, they didn't want to drop $100, or maybe they saw it and now they're watching it again for all those little minute details, we are here. We're going to have some fun discussion talking about this movie because now we have all seen it. So, fellas, what did you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Charlie, what'd you think?
I'm glad we're getting a chance to talk about this because the three of us have not talked about this really at all. I remember getting a phone call from Brody when he was going to see it, and I said, Brody, text me after you see it opening night. I'm like, text me after the movie. Let me know how it is. I did not get a text. That was clue number one. Clue number two, when I talked to him, he gave me the high voice. It's good. It's good.
The high voice. Oh, bro.
So I had my suspicions that maybe this wouldn't be one of the strongest MCU films out there, and I think probably it lands kind of a meh for me. There's some stuff that I really liked, there's some stuff that worked, and there's some stuff that we'll get into that I thought could have been a lot better. And it's gonna be fun to be able to talk about those in layers because it's movies it's never as simple as good or bad. There's stuff that works and there's stuff that doesn't, and so I'm glad we get a chance to get into that.
Charlie, I just have to say, yes, I forgot to text you back. But you called me while I was sitting in the movie theater waiting for the movie to start. And then I was very tired when I got out. It wasn't a midnight showing, but I think it was like a 9 o'clock showing. This is like a 2-hour movie. We're talking like 11 o'clock.
I mean, the fact that you answered in the middle of the movie, that's the clue.
It wasn't in the middle of the movie. Like the previews hadn't even started. I was just sitting there with my wife, hanging out, watching like the local ads.
Did anybody shush you?
No.
Shh, quiet. Get off the phone.
All right, Dylan, what about you? What did you think?
I'll be honest. When I watched this, I watched it when it came on to Disney Plus, and people had already kind of said that it was bad and it was terrible, and so I went into it with exceedingly low expectations. And I don't understand what all the hate is from. There's plenty of things I don't like about the movie, but this is not like a Thor: Dark World, which I think is easily like one of the worst. Easily. So I would say, it's not even close to that bad. Not even close, in my opinion, which is not a glowing review.
It's a low bar. It's a low bar. But it is a bar.
Right. And hopefully you can get a couple of drinks at that bar. Brode, what do you think? Because you haven't said anything yet.
So coming out of this, I was processing a lot. And I was like, okay, where does this kind of fall for me? Because now there's been so many Marvel movies, and I'm like, okay, so where does this fall in the Ant-Man trilogy? Where does this fall in the MCU? And there were things that I didn't really care for, and there were things that I did like. It's not my favorite Ant-Man. It might actually be my least favorite Ant-Man, now that I'm saying that out loud. But yes, it's not like, we're not talking like bottom of the barrel. We're not talking like Eternals or anything like that. This is kind of a midpoint, like MCU for me, I think. I'd be really interested, and I haven't yet, but to really kind of get like a list, and that's something we need to do as kind of a group, is to start like a list of MCU, because it's hard to mentally do it. But this was fun, and
Yeah, it was fun.
there were things that I liked about it, and there were things that I was kind of like, okay.
All right. Well, let's get into what we like then. Well, you want to start with some story
Well,
stuff here?
let's talk about the story a little bit. Let's talk about do we want to start good? Do we want to start bad? Do we want to start what we liked? Start high?
Sure. Dylan.
Okay. What did you guys like about the story?
I like the fact that I mean, I liked that it took place in the quantum realm. I mean, it was different. It changed the tone. It was trying something kind of new. I loved the idea that Hope Van Dyne was, making affordable housing with her company, and also like food and there was I can't remember what the third one was. I watched it several times. So it's just for that. But I thought it was really cool that kind of a thing was being addressed. The fact that a company with that PIM particles and their technology is working inside of like the fact that the post snap or blip or whatever they call it, and they're actually addressing that kind of a thing. I thought that was really cool.
It was interesting that they mentioned the blip and like the social like impact, and they're like, people lost houses and stuff like that. There's all these homeless people because of the blip.
And they were doing that. I thought that was cool.
I guess there would be, huh?
It wasn't just them just doing nothing. Hey, we're rich people. We don't have to do anything. That's their problem. They were like, she was literally like helping him out. I thought that was cool. I like the fact that Hank Pym was bonding with Cassie and his wife. I thought that was really cool.
She called him Grandpa Hank.
Yeah. I like that.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead, Charlie. Go ahead. No.
I'm going to kind of weave good and bad here together, because I think there's a lot of interesting ideas in this script. And I think one of the themes that I kept feeling throughout this entire movie was that just stuff was really underdeveloped. And we get kind of like a view of this, teenage relationship of a father-daughter. And that sets up like in the beginning, like it's going to be a really big and developed theme. And it's really not. And we get, just a lot of it's like a lot of setup. It felt like a lot of setup without as much deliver. Even the quantum realm, which was cool, and they go there and you get to see it. It's kind of an underdeveloped Star Warsian world.
Yeah.
There's kind of, why is there a guy with a light bulb head? Like we talk about that. Like why? Like, oh cool, Bill Murray's here, but why is he here? And why is he gone so soon? And then never back again? And it just there's ants there, and then those will be important later. Remember the ants, and it just everything kind of felt a little underdeveloped. But I think probably my favorite part of everything was maybe Jonathan Majors as Kang. I thought he did
I
thought he gave a pretty nuanced performance in places. Like maybe some of the cackling at the end credit scene was a little bit over the top. But I kind of like I think he might have been my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
At least from like a story to like his story, him and Michelle Pfeiffer's storyline might have been the most interesting. Although even she was just kind of there to kind of serve as a setup to Kang, and was underdeveloped. Would have been cool to see more. I could just a whole movie of her backstory there would have been more interesting. But anyway,
I'll be honest. I didn't like the fact that for zero real reason, if she'd have said, "Hey, it was traumatic. I don't want to talk about it," then I could be like, I would have a bit of respect for it, but she didn't even do that. She was just like, I don't want to talk about it, and I'm not going to. Period. That I was like, that seems exceedingly dangerous. That's for no purpose except for a big reveal, and that's it. They like you said, it was underdeveloped. There was no reason for her to just keep quiet.
There was little moments of pet peeves, and I'm gonna try to really avoid pet peeves when we do these reviews, because things that just like get under my skin a little bit, and that's just me being crotchety. But anytime in any movie, not just in this movie, but in any movie, there's a situation where the stakes are set up to be incredibly high, like you're sucked into a new realm or dimension. You don't know what's happening, but someone who's been there before is terrified and scared out of their mind, pushing you up against mushroom-like plants while spaceships scan the world for your very existence. She's telling you to be quiet, and you're like, no, I'm going to keep yelling at you right now until you tell me what's going on very loudly. I don't care what you say. Like, I feel like at some point you could say, look, I'm a little confused, maybe even a little bit upset, but we'll talk about this somewhere when we're not running for our lives. When you're, what is this? Like, it's like just like the needless yelling at people was so weird. So just like some little things like that that were, I felt like were a little weak in the writing, where they could have, maybe set like the excuse for them being sucked in felt a little overly retconned, and like they could have just come up with some, I think maybe
Yeah.
a couple of more clever ways to get them into the realm, and set up the world a little bit more developed.
This, I think, for me, as I think back to like the first two Ant-Man movies, this one feels like so different from the
Yeah.
other movies.
It's not a heist, really. It's not a heist movie. The other two were heist movies.
It's not really a heist. We don't get a lot of the same characters. It's really kind of isolated. I mean, they go really quickly into the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And there is very minimal like real world stuff. We don't get his three friends, the ex-con security guys.
Yeah,
What
and
happened
they're
to the
missing-
security business? Like, what happened to the security business? They were gone completely.
We don't know. We don't get Cassie's mom, like any of that. Like
I love that dynamic.
We got like a couple characters, and like I think that's one thing with this movie, and I think that's fits in this little story category. Is I think watching the trailers for this movie, I thought this was going to be a bigger scale movie, and it felt very small, and not in like a punny Ant-Man way, but like the fact that like they're somehow this is like the only place in the quantum realm. Like Janet was there, Kang fell right there. They got sucked out. They came back in and like wound up in the same place.
Mhm.
Like they're talking about these places being like universes, and it all like took place in like this very small like perimeter of space. Like they're all kind of moving around really close together, and I don't know. It kind of bugged me a little bit when I was like, well,
Bugged.
it doesn't
Nice.
seem as big.
Yeah, the stakes.
I'm trying to not use like all these like big and small comparisons, because I'm like, oh,
Using a lot of ant puns over there, bro, and I'm digging it.
I think it harkens back to exactly what Charlie said, and that is it really wasn't it wasn't as developed as it should have been. Like you see, even like I think the actual quantum realm, you see them running, and you can see, all right, they're running and they're running for their lives, but it certainly doesn't seem like their lives are at stake. It seems like they're on a jog. And I think that's due to like the lack of understanding of what they were even running from at the time, which is the lack of development. I think that's kind of where the story went off its rails. That it seemed like a second, maybe third, fourth draft or something, but they didn't.
And like the city, there was a whole city, but we saw like one bar. Like they walked through one corridor and then they went to one bar, and like that's all we saw of this city.
I love the drink the ooze
Nicely
thing.
cantina. That's great.
Yeah.
The drinking the ooze and then they can understand. I thought that was really cool. I like that.
I thought that was really clever. I actually really like that. But
Yeah,
yes,
I would have loved
oh,
more of that would have been great. Like
Yeah.
like at the end, like in the big Star Wars Lord of the Ringsian entrance of all these like characters that we met for like seconds on the screen. People are dying or living, and we have no connection to them. Like we don't care, we don't know them at all. Like it's supposed to be, I think, a dramatic
I
moment.
was sad when Flashlight Head died.
All we know of him is that he likes to torture people. Like there's like okay, I guess he's a good guy. I don't know. He really seems to like to torture people. I don't know. It was like but for Dylan, for you, what you were saying about the running thing, that really bothered me a lot, because the whole world felt flat because it was all green screen. And so there's no they didn't interact with the world at all. There's no interacting with the world. And so moments that should have been really like intense or emotional felt very flat because these actors are standing still or jogging in place like a 1950s movie with the moving pictures in the background here. Look, we're in
Hmm.
a car. It just and even like even the Modoc death scene where they can't touch him, and then it cuts to like a visual of Paul Rudd and like a weird, creepy, like random arm pops up
Yeah,
like out
yeah.
of nowhere to like kind of touch his face a little bit, and he's like, "All right," and it's just like so disconnect. Everything is disconnected. Everything is flat
Hmm.
and disconnected, and so then it never looks like they're in peril, and they never touch like the stuff around in the universe unless it's like very, very foreground stuff, like a cup at a table. It's just like the so everything feels really disconnected, and it created for me like a really kind of disconnected viewing of
Right.
the movie. And I found
Definitely.
myself it harder to get lost in what should have been a really like
Hmm.
easy world building to get lost in. It was harder for me to
Yeah.
like really care about the characters and their emotional connections because everything just felt really flat. If you just go back and watch it and just like look for those moments, how many times like they show like one character standing still with a still shot of a city behind him, and they deliver a line, and then it pans over to another character and they're standing still with a still shot of a lifeless city behind them. It's like I don't know, it just felt everything felt very like uh, it didn't like have it, and maybe this is what because I don't think it was bad, but I just felt I'm disappointed because I feel like it could have been great,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. Like they just like it's like they kind of stopped at like and they could have been something really special. It could have been
Hmm.
like a really big turning point where everyone's like, Marvel's back, baby, and and like can't wait for five. And instead, it kind of felt like, man, would this have been a better TV show? Like, would this have been a
Hmm.
better 8 episode? Like, they go to the quantum realm and we get to meet more of the characters and care about more of the characters, and we get a better introduction of Kang and maybe some more backstory with Janet and all. Like, would this have been a better like 8 episode miniseries? I don't know, but that kind of where the story kind of like it was there were elements were there and it just didn't deliver.
But I also, and to kind of go off of that a little bit, when you did see people interact, like the end fight between Ant Man and Kang, like I loved that. I thought that was a great like action fight set piece.
Yeah. That finally, when there was a bit of stakes, even though I
And
knew
I,
that like Quantum Realm was the opening was going to open back up. I mean,
yeah,
I actually loved that Hope Van Dyne came through and like helped him out. I was like, nice. That's the
Yeah,
way.
what did you
Shoot.
what did you guys think of Modoc? What did you guys think of that like little story within the story?
well, do we want to stick to story or do we want to move on to characters?
Let's do
Characters.
both. Let's do both because
Okay,
characters
That
are a
all
makes
part
right.
of the
sense.
story.
It's true.
Modoc was interesting. I was really excited for Modoc, and I had heard all of the uh, that it was going to be Darren and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, okay. Um, but I don't know. It felt off to me, and
For a character who is supposed to be so feared, he was surprisingly, and I know it's Modoc and it's going to be kind of there's going to be an element of goofiness, but there was too much of that. He should have been way more hardcore, like trying to kill, and he was just kind of like, well, end of the line, Cassie. And I was like, what? Like come on, this is the part where you're supposed to be a little bit menacing, at least a little bit. I don't fear for her in any way because I was just like, she's just gonna get small again, and he's gonna be like, oh, what happened? Up, yeah, surprise, surprise, your dad's not here to say. I was all of this. I was like that. I didn't like that about the character. I loved the character of Darren and Yellow Jacket or whatever, or yeah,
yeah, he was Yellow Jacket,
but
and I thought
they
he was
took.
more menacing as Yellow Jacket.
Yes, he was absolutely. I mean, he could have been. He could have preyed on the fears of when he came into a room that night when she was a kid, and he didn't. None of that stuff. It was just, well, I'm here again. Modoc, take me seriously.
I thought it was odd. I don't like the plot contrivance of a character's heart can just be changed through a simple conversation where she's like,
Or
"Have you
none.
considered not being a bad guy?" And he's like, "Well,
Mm,
now that you mention it, I am a good guy." And it's just like, okay, okay. I know we got to move things along here a little bit, but maybe they could have set up a little bit more conflict in the beginning with like internal conflict for him in the beginning, some kind of stakes involved for him that like give him some kind of rationale for like being, yeah, you know what? I do want to be a hero. He's like, ah, now I'm an Avenger, and he mentions it for like the first time. Like, what if he had wanted to be Avenger this whole time, or give him something like some kind of conflict and character development to explain the sudden like dramatic shift from I'm a killing machine to like, yeah, you know what? I didn't really like that anyway. I'm a big head stuffed in a thing.
He was killing people when he was up in the regular realm as a human. He had no problem killing people, and now suddenly he's like, "Oh, I don't want to be a bad guy." Really? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't care for. I feel like they could have set that up a little bit better. But I did like. I thought some of the jokes were fun. And some of the, there were some parts of that I thought that I liked the MODOK stuff. But I get what you're saying, bro.
Yeah, he just didn't feel like MODOK. He didn't feel like MODOK to me.
Yes. I'll be honest. I don't know if it was due to the performance, but I didn't care for the character of Cassie. I mean, I liked some parts of it, but again, the shift didn't make a lot of sense. Either she is disappointed in her dad severely after he saved the world, which I thought was like, I was like, excuse me, young lady, are you kidding? That is at the very beginning. I was really displeased with that. I was like, you're upset with him because he was trapped in the quantum realm. That doesn't really, I don't like, you're upset with him because he had to go through that. I don't ever really like those sort of things. Like they did that in like other TV shows, and I've never cared for it. It's like, oh, you were gone, and it's like, yeah, I was like stranded on a desert island. It was like, what it was, the Arrow when they did that. I was stranded on a desert island. So sorry,
you missed
you've been in this mansion, in this whole mansion, all these years sleeping in a bed, and I've been stranded on an island. But I'm a jerk for missing out. So sorry. And that's exactly what I was like. I was like, young lady, first off, you shouldn't be getting arrested. If you're going to do it right. And that's all he was saying. And she's like, oh, well, what do you know, Dad? And he's like, I saved the world then. That's all. I should be eating out to dinner on that one for the rest of my life. Do not sit there and say, oh, you should do this. I'd be like, I already did this. Okay. And even he was still going to try and help out. I didn't care for that. I thought, and he never gave her any sort of static. He was always nice. Even if he was like, what are you doing? All he's doing is asking for information. He never once was like, you're wrong, or you're doing the worst things you could do, or this is any of that stuff. I was like, he's being so like too patient at this point.
They replaced the actress from Endgame.
Yeah.
And not like ceremoniously from what it's what I've understood. I didn't think she was a very good actress, and or at least not in this role. And to be fair to her, it could have just been the way that she was written, but it did feel like a little flat. I think her green screen work did look probably the worst out of everybody when she's kind of doing the light jogging and some of that stuff. I don't know. Maybe the character was just a little bit too underdeveloped. I will say anytime you start off like a character like with they did this with they've done this in some of the other MCU stuff where you're introducing, and it's not like she's a new character, but like at this age we're getting to know a new version of this character, and you start her out by like being rude to a beloved character and mean, like it create, and then she's doing this thing behind the like I just feel like it sets us up to like not like the character, and like why not set her up to be awesome at the beginning? Like why not write her to be awesome? Why not take this, how long has it been since since Endgame stuff? Like, yeah, you're right. Ant-Man deserves like a break. Like,
right?
My dad retired to like for coast on his tenure now, and I never once considered calling him up, being like, "You're such a failure. All the students that need to be taught. Like, what is wrong with you?" Like, and he didn't save the world, but he's a good teacher. But like, that's all right. Like, take a break, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bro, what do you think?
I didn't mind her.
You've got way too much patience. Way too much patience.
Whoa,
There's no
way. Don't reward that statement. I didn't mind her is not. I didn't mind her either. I didn't think the actress did like an amazing job, and I didn't think the character was all that well written. I didn't mind her is not a compliment.
I minded it. That's true. I minded though.
Yeah, did you like her, bro? Did you like the character? Did you like the performance? That's the question.
I thought she was fine. I don't know
That's
that I
worse.
could go much more
That
than
is
that.
worse.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. I didn't like how that part of the character was written. I thought maybe she could have, and she built the thing that brought them to the quantum realm. Why focus on these negative aspects of herself
Yeah.
instead of really good? If she wants to help people, make it a positive way. Make it like she's good at it. She's like learning from Hope because Hope is like actively doing that.
Yeah.
Like she's helping massive amounts of people.
Did Evangeline Lilly have the like 12 lines of dialogue or something the whole movie? I felt like
Yeah,
She was
she
hardly
got
in it.
I didn't like that. I liked her character, and I liked her character in this. Like when she was like, "I'm demanding, I want to know everything right now." I actually was kind of on the same page. I was like, you know what? She should be talking at this point. And when
Yeah.
she at the end when she came out and she helped Scott and she was blasting Kang, I almost like started clapping. I was like, "Yes, Hope is back! Come on!" I
Yeah,
thought
I
that was
did
great.
miss Hope in this. I did miss
Yeah.
Hope. And I I will say though, man, I thought that she was great in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then she cut all of her hair, and I didn't like her haircut.
She did
It
that
really
because she was trying to be true
bugged
to
me.
the comic book character. But yeah, no,
I
it didn't
know.
suit her. It didn't suit her.
It
But the
really it
last
really
haircut
bugged.
didn't suit her either. So I
I
mean,
didn't like it.
what can you do?
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll have a whole hair related. I don't think the two of you get to give hair critiques.
Hey, come on, come on.
Okay. Can you guys?
I,
Can you guys clear something?
compared to the last one. That's all I'm saying. That's
All
all
right,
I'm
that's
saying.
fair, that's
I
fair.
liked her.
Can you-
I liked her look.
Clear something up for me because you guys
Yeah.
are smart guys. It's set up in the beginning that the conflict between Ant-Man and his daughter was like based on like him not still kind of being in this hero mode. And then
Sure.
they go to they get sucked in the quantum realm, and he doesn't want to engage. He wants to protect his daughter and his family.
Yeah.
And then they get taken, and he risks the fate of the entire world to save just his daughter. And then it happens that she escapes, so he doesn't have to do that. And everyone else comes to help them fight, and he never really actually risks like everything to help. Like would it have been a better story if like the daughter, if he like sacrificed, not that she should have died, but like that he was willing to not save her to save the world? Like wasn't that the lesson that she was trying to get him to do, to not just care about him and his immediate family, but to engage and to be a hero even when it's hard, even when you're having to make the ultimate sacrifices? And he's willing to sacrifice his own life, which is, I guess, noble in some regards, but also like the much easier sacrifice for someone to make. Was you saw the scene of Scott and um and Black Widow go, like arguing over who would go over the cliff and die. Like easier to be the one who goes over the cliff than one who has to carry the weight of not being the one who went over the cliff. Like this, I don't know.
Sure.
Like, could they have wrapped that into like a more like he actually did something heroic in the way that it was described that he wasn't being heroic, instead of just really kind of doing everything to get back to the world? Or do you think it was enough that he was willing to stay in the quantum realm for an extra like 30 seconds?
I'll be honest. I think that this is due to that lack of development. If they'd have taken a second and been like, "Hey, maybe this should be, I don't know, kind of a theme that we've been using on here," instead of kind of no real theme, because there wasn't exactly a theme. Didn't make any real sense. Like there wasn't a heist. You're right. I mean, he didn't like risk his life except for attacking Kang. He went in to go get the whatever the core thing is, but I'm not even. I saw the movie twice, and I'm still not exactly sure what he did. He and Hope throw those discs at the thing, and is that what they were supposed to do? Because that wasn't clear to me at all. I knew that
Yeah,
his
they
mind
they
would
had to shrink
unravel
it.
longer. They had to shrink the
Yeah,
thing.
shrink it.
Yeah.
Yeah, shrink it to get it out of there.
It seemed exceedingly simple. That seemed like really not a big deal. It didn't seem like a big heist. So, I mean, like, I think all of what you're saying goes back to the underdeveloped part because, I mean, yeah, it didn't make any sense. Like none of it was connected. It was like you said, it was disjointed. And so,
Like if they had set it up where he had an opportunity to escape with his daughter and his family and chose not to do that so that he could save all the people of the quantum realm, even though it
yeah,
wasn't his fight. He said, "No, I'm going to stay here and do this because this is what a hero does and this is what's right." Instead of like, "Well, hey, we're trapped here anyway, and really the only way to get out is to defeat this guy." Like it just felt like they kind of like don't have that part of the beginning if you're not going to tie that into a bow for me at the end. Like that's not, there was no real and the movie literally starts with him walking down the street and then it ends with him walking down the street. Like he's
Yeah.
in exactly the same place. Like there was no like real arc or character development. Like it just like it kind of like it was kind of like, oh, that was a random time. Remember when we defeated Kang, who apparently killed like an infinite number of Avengers like pretty easily, and then now we're just back whistling a tune down the street. Like I just feel like maybe they could have done something to kind of give a little bit more meaning to like a more meaningful sacrifice for him. Um, Brody, what do you think? I'm talking too much.
Is this so? As you're talking and as you're saying this stuff, I'm thinking, does this have uh, the Iron Man 2 problem? Remember, Iron Man 2, there was all this stuff set up in Iron Man 1. We started getting all these other movies, and then Iron Man 2 came up, and it felt like the movie was only there to further set up all the other movies. It was there to set up Nick Fury. It was there
At the
to set
expense
up
of the
Black
story.
Widow, at the expense of the story, at the expense of the character. And kind of like Charlie is saying, like, not much happened other than we have a setup for Kang.
Yeah,
So
they didn't really. Yeah,
is it kind of like that, you think?
Yeah, that's a good way to say that.
I cannot like stress enough what you had said though about the underdevelopment of it. I mean, it just as I look back, I'm like, wow, that really was underdeveloped. They didn't even really put a theme together with this. And when you would think of Iron Man 2, what exactly was the theme on that one? I mean, there's more of a theme, I guess, but I mean, was it his dad? Was he's finding the thing to fix his, like he's getting killed by his own? I don't know. So it's disjointed all over the place and underdeveloped.
Yeah.
May I ask you guys? Sorry,
what's
go ahead,
that?
bro.
No, go.
I was going to ask what you guys thought of Paul Rudd's performance.
I thought he was good. I think he's got this Scott Lang nice guy. I'm a hero character that he's kind of established, and that's what he played.
I'll say this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go
Dylan.
ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no.
I'll say.
I thought it was. I thought he did. I thought he was fine. He's Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. But I thought some of the material was maybe a little bit weak in some places, and that maybe like reflected in performances as well. There were some fight scene moments where it kind of like maybe hand to hand isn't like the Paul Rudd special.
It's not. Yeah, not the special. When he was fighting Kang, there were some parts where I was like, "Oh no. Jonathan Majors is gonna just kind of, and Paul Rudd would be on the floor when he like punched him a couple of times, and Kang was just like, no, and then he knocked him down. I was like, that's more like it. That makes more sense. I was like, no, come on.
How about you two, Dong?
There were times where and especially when he was not in the quantum realm, but there were times where it seemed almost like he was coasting on his Paul Ruddness, and he forgot to be Scott Lang, and he was just like almost way over the top, like he was completely insincere. He's like, "So, what are you gonna do?" I was just like, "What is this? This isn't like a grounded, real character talks. Like, what is he doing? This isn't like just a comedy. This is an MCU movie here." And when he gets to the quantum realm, most of the time he is serious and he's being Scott Lang, and that's good. But it just seemed like he was like, "Hey, I'm cute Paul Rudd, and I'm in the regular world. I'm not Spider-Man." And I was like, "Oh, dude."
But that felt like the Scott Lang that had been set up. That felt like Scott Lang from all the other movies too.
Yeah, he's never been like that. He's never been like, I don't know.
What if they had set up a quantum realm heist movie? You know, like where they needed to come and Kang had something and they needed to steal it. And they could have like all the sci-fi stuff, but kept like I felt like one of the problems too was the duality of tones, like just like constantly shifting out of like this really, you know, it's the quantum realm was colorful, but also very like
dark.
It wasn't like a bright, happy place, right? Yeah, it's dark and people are like living through like horrors. And like, what if we just match the tones a little bit better? Because we have like these like random like, haha. All right, now let's get back to so your whole family was wiped out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Yeah. It's like like maybe we
Maybe
could have matched the tones a little bit better.
maybe take another couple of passes at that script. Maybe think I want to have a theme to this.
I need Edgar Wright back. Bring Edgar Wright back.
Oh
I will say
yeah.
I do like the real world Ant-Man stuff, like when they're shrinking and like making a huge Thomas the Train, man. That was like that kind of
Yes.
stuff like is awesome. I
Yeah.
know there was a lot of they were making themselves bigger and smaller, but man, those fight scenes were great. Like with like the
Yeah.
stuff shrinking and like I felt like that was really missing too. Like this could have been like a cool like maybe a different MCU character could have done some of this. Like maybe I don't
I
know.
think they could have. I think you could have put any MCU character in this.
Yeah, and
done the
that
same thing.
right there shows because it's an Ant-Man movie. It's got to be something that Ant-Man is going to be able to do. Where instead of just throwing somebody into the quantum realm and fighting Kang, which is not an Ant-Man thing. He's a heist guy. He's not a like he's not an Iron Man. He shouldn't be because not everybody should be an Iron Man. Everybody has their thing, and they completely brush that aside. No heist.
All right,
No,
I do
I don't
want
want
to.
to. Yeah, I
I
was gonna
do
say I
want
don't
to
want
talk
to
about
speak you
Kang.
guys. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted because the cast was a little bloated, but I
Yeah,
think we all agree that Kang was maybe the best of all the side characters or the others.
definitely.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
bro, give me your Kang thoughts.
Oh man, I really liked Jonathan Majors Kang. I mean, he came in. He had this like gentleness to him that then
Mm-hmm.
would like that would flip kind of on a dime, and then he would kind of have the, like as he spoke, he would have this gentleness where he's talking about like taking over the universes and like just all this stuff, but he wasn't over the top, aside from
Mm-hmm.
like we said, like that last scene. But
So that's
those are
little
different
scene.
Kangs. But like this Kang that we saw was really interesting, and I
Yeah,
really liked him, and I
yeah, I
liked
agree.
like the physicality he brought in that last fight. I know Dylan, you said that like Paul Rudd maybe isn't a good fighter, but like,
Oh,
but man,
he was great.
Jonathan Majors came in. Just remember like this kick to the chest that looked like it hurt so bad.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, seriously.
it looked so stiff. Like
Yeah,
so like, but he was great. I liked the building of him with the Michelle Pfeiffer stuff. I liked him kind of growing and just like the design, like he looked like Kang. He had all the stuff, and we can get into visuals and stuff like that. I don't want this to go too long, but yeah, I really enjoyed him. I'm hoping we can get Kang back. I would really like to see this Kang.
mm. Separate all the others. Charlie, what did you think of Kang?
Yeah, I thought it's like it's hard to separate like because I was one of the old people who didn't get out to the theater because of the kids and because of Brody's high voice. Um, so I waited for the Disney Plus release, and
Fine.
so I saw it straight. And so you know about the Jonathan Majors allegations, and you know that there's this backstory kind of like underneath. It's like the elephant in the room, and so I'm watching it and I'm really enjoying the performance, but I'm also like if the if this I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have not admittedly been reading. This has not been something I've been seeking out a lot of information on,
Sure.
and I'm not. This is not the podcast you come to for information on Jonathan Majors legal battles.
Yes.
But I know that they dropped him from like some of like the
Mm.
promotional materials and some of the things they were doing at like some some cons and stuff, and they're showing some of the Loki footage and things like that. It presents a very interesting quandary. Like if things break a certain way, are we getting rid of the character altogether? Are we getting a different like are we getting a recast? Is this going to be like a Don Cheadle stepping in kind of situation? Like when we got the oh my gosh,
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Oh my gosh, I kept wanting to say Terrace Marshall, but I've been playing too much fantasy football. So you get the recast going, but that could be interesting. But I liked his performance. I did like all other
Yeah.
things pushed aside. I thought he was really good. I loved the physicality of his fight scene. I mean he just was very imposing, and you could see like that switch of that like that anger when it
Yeah.
came on, and like so I don't know. I have no idea what they're gonna do, and I'm I just but I if it's a recast, I just hope they get another actor with some gravitas.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Tudong?
Yeah, I mean, I highly agree. I think he set a high bar for Marvel bad guys. He was easily the best part of the movie, and I liked his performance. Hopefully, if we get another Kang, it's something similar to this because it was a really good character, and those other characters really seemed kind of goofy, but he was really good. I liked that, like you said, the gentleness and the dichotomy. When he said, like, when you looked into my mind, what did you see? We didn't get a chance to talk about that before, and I was like, wow, he's talking to her like a friend, like that's really cool. And he's like, I'm going to just, you'll do this, or I'm going to vaporize you, and then I might just vaporize you anyway. I I thought it was excellent, and when he was like, yeah, that's what conquerors do. I was like,
If they want to get rid of the Kang character, I mean, they have all the Kangs in one place.
that's
So
true.
all you need to do is just have some super baddie, and they're all like doing their thing, and then he shows up and he's like, the old Zerp floor, and then reset.
All right. I do want to talk also about just the overall MCU impact. So, how do you guys think this is? This is kind of setting off kind of this next phase. We've got Kang, who's supposedly supposed to be going to be the next big bad Thanos type.
Which it's difficult because if this was just a straightforward thing, we could then give our what we think. But now we have no clue. Are we going to keep the character? Are we going to keep the actor? Is he just going to be recast, or is there just going to be another character coming in? We've got like no clue due to what's been happening. So it's really funny. Now, if there was none of that stuff, if none of that stuff was happening, what do you think that this would mean? If none of that, no legal stuff, there's Kang, it's moving forward, Jonathan Majors, all that stuff.
I mean they've already announced like Kang Dynasty, like the
Right.
next Avengers movies are focusing on Kang. I think we're going full force with Kang. I think we're going to get Cassie back. I think they're building up to this young Avengers. They've been introducing all these younger versions of all the heroes. I think at this point we have like every single hero now has their
Yeah,
young
that's true.
counterpart, and so I think we're gonna get that. Whether we get another Ant-Man, I don't know. I'm not sure.
People really did not like this movie. They did not like when this came out, and then it went to streaming. People were like, "What happened? Like, it wasn't that bad. Like, you kidding?" They're saying that it was this like horrible, worst movie in the MCU, which I think is ridiculous.
Not by
Yeah,
much.
not
Definitely
even,
not.
not even close.
It's interesting, right? So the rest of this year we get what? Secret Invasion, and we get the Marvels, and
Marvels.
then Loki season 2,
Yeah.
right? And then that's it for 2023.
Do we have?
And then
I thought there was another movie. Am I wrong? Is it just Marvels? Is
I
Marvels
know
the last one?
that
Wasn't
that's
yeah,
all I'm
because
seeing. I know that like they're making that Echo TV show, and then I heard that they're just dropping that all at once, which sounds like maybe they're not that excited about it. Like a dump, like a here's all the episodes at once. So that doesn't bode well for that. There's going to be like a what if, it's just some like Ironheart TV show. Captain America: New World Order is May 2024. We get Thunderbolts.
Nice.
We'll see about that with the writer's strike. I don't know.
Oh,
I
right.
think
What
we
I'm excited
I
for,
forgot about.
Blade and Deadpool 3. I'm excited for
Oh,
those.
yeah.
I'm really excited to get Daredevil back on TV. Like, there's some stuff that's coming that I think is really cool, but the three things that I mentioned, I have no idea how that fits in with what they're doing, like with like the main. Like, is it weird that like the three things that I'm the most excited about might be three things that really take place outside of all the stuff they're setting up here? I don't know. Like, I recently went to go visit my in-laws in the country, and I felt like, oh man, I'm such a city mouse out here. Like, we're finding badger heads in the side of the road. I'm like, this is not where I belong. Like, oh, good, a 3-foot snake. Let me pick it up. I'm like, this is not. No, I'm gonna move. If a 3-foot snake appears in my house, I'm just moving. if you're telling me like there's gonna be like Avenger movies with like a bunch of like early 20 something like kids, like I feel like that's great, and I'm so glad that young people will have an Avengers that they can call their own and they can claim as their own. But I do feel like maybe I'm aging out of that demographic, and I'm probably not going to be super excited to watch like a young Avengers movie. That's just not like that's not the life stage I'm in, and that's like that's great. Not everything has to be for me, and quite frankly, the world would be really
Yeah.
boring if it was. So like good, go out there and I have my Avengers movies. Like great, some young people can get theirs, but as far as like what this sets up, like I just don't know, and I'm really curious to see directionally where it heads. I'm excited for Loki season 2, so that is directly connected. I know you guys both hated Loki the TV show, or at
No,
least
I
were
didn't.
lukewarm on it. But
That is far from hate. It is. It's
I don't
far
know.
from hate, bro. Are you kidding? Back me up on that.
Do-
Brody put Loki as like his like the bottom of his MCU TV shows when we did that ranking.
I think I
Oh,
did.
yeah, that's right. You do hate it, bro.
Links
I
below.
don't hate it. I like the other ones more. That's all. Do you guys think we're done with the quantum realm?
I tell you, I hope we're not done with all of it because
Yeah.
there's some I think there's some cool stuff that could be done there, but
I think people are shying away from it since everybody really disliked Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. They didn't like it at all. I think the
can
MCU is
we
gonna.
at least get some William Jackson Harper? Can we get a little bit more Chidi from Good Place?
Yeah,
And
right.
his glowing head.
Oh
Can we get
yeah, he
that?
was really fun. You know what I think is kind of interesting about this, and we haven't really touched on it. Bill Murray's performance, his usual performance, okay, it was just kind of Bill Murray. But when he was like, "You didn't tell them about me, like at all. You didn't say anything about us after what happened, after all the people who died." Like I was like, "Whoa, where did this performance come from Bill Murray?" That was really good. And then of course that flew right out the window, and he was back to ants. And what are those? Do we have them? And I was like, "Oh, come on, you're just kind of being a Jeff Goldblum here."
Hey,
But if
whoa!
you Yeah, but I mean, like, if you notice, Kang had the same sort of a reaction. He's like, "You didn't tell them about me or us at all, like nothing." They were like their feelings were hurt, and I loved that. I thought that was fantastic, and out of nowhere, that Kang was even kind of hurt that she didn't mention him, even though he's like, "I get it," but really,
But I
Is
don't know how
Janet
much time we
hiding
have
anything
left.
else?
Oh, I hope so. Give me like a Janet, like a Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer solo film, or TV like a short TV show, and they could go in the quantum realm
That'd be fine.
and I'd watch that. How are we doing on time, bro? Because I want to complain about the green
Uh,
screen.
we should probably be wrapping up here pretty soon. We're at 47 minutes.
All
So
right, let me just say my piece on the green screen stuff.
okay.
You guys have already heard me complain about it a little bit, but you on this if you're a watcher of this podcast and you're still with us, first of all, bless you, thank you so much. You've heard me complain about green screen fatigue. I am suffering from severe green screen fatigue, and I really was hoping that
And this movie
that,
didn't
that
help.
there would be a lot of cool green screen shots of like beautiful, bright, colorful things, and then a lot of practically built sets that look otherworldly, and that is just not the direction they went. It was just all green screen stuff. I
Mhm.
I am just like really like and it wasn't all good, and it wasn't good green screen stuff either. Like there was
yeah.
some really bad shots and some really like
Hold up.
uncomfortable moments of like just really awkward things. I is this just it? Like is this just where we're at? Like is the rest of the MCU stuff
Mm.
gonna be just so leaning into this like Doctor Strange and this just like these like the new phase seems to be so the Eternals is so relying on green screen stuff, and I kind of I don't know, I'm not really that excited. I don't know if the technology's not there, if they're just not setting it up right, if it's just kind of the classic, oh we'll fix it in post kind of thing. Oh, it
Mm.
was hard to fix in post. um I don't know. How are you guys feeling about the green screen stuff?
I agree with you. No, I didn't. I didn't. I like it when there's, they mix in actual practical effects. If you want to have green screen, if you want to have the CGI, that's fine. But there are ways of doing it that show that you actually care about what you're doing, as opposed to just kind of putting it up there and then you see people just jogging in place and nothing seems real. No stakes are there. No development. Yeah, I agree completely.
I mean, I just watched Edge
Yeah.
of Tomorrow, and they built Tom Cruise made him build mechanical suits. Poor Emily Blunt had to walk
Yeah,
around in a
yeah,
100-pound
yeah.
mechanical suit doing stunts, man. Broke her. And then but the movie was so good and it looked
Yeah.
awesome. It would look terrible with a bunch of green screen suits.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the green screen this movie especially, it was just too much. It was too much. Nothing felt real. You know, like MODOK, just the entire every time anybody talked with MODOK, his eyes are just like looking off into the distance. Like he never looked anybody in the eye. It was there was too much. And I think that's something that did hurt it. I'm hoping that this is not where everything else is going. I'm hoping as we get more stuff like Captain America, New World Order, stuff that hopefully is more world bound. You know, I think once we get into more space stuff, I think Marvel's is probably going to be really CGI heavy. But I am hoping that we get more grounded stuff that isn't using so much green screen.
Yeah. Captain America can't come fast enough. They should have that. It's been too long.
All right.
Boys,
Well, do you guys?
any last thoughts?
You guys? Yep. Tudong, last thoughts? Give it a score, Tudong. Out of 10.
6. Being generous. 6. There were some fun moments. Yeah.
I know. I feel like the guy goes on Amazon and then like rips the product for like 10 minutes and then gives it like a 4-star review. But I would say 6. I would say 6 as well. I think that I know I spent probably more of my time chatting about the negatives, but I mostly just missed opportunities. But I thought there was enough there to give it a 6.
I'm gonna go 6.5.
Ooh.
Oh.
I think I like, Jonathan Majors was really good.
Really good.
Still, there was enough stuff that I liked, but it does fall into that like mid-range MCU for me. It's nowhere near the bottom, but it's nowhere near the top either.
There we go. Yeah.
Well said.
All right. Charlie, you want to take us home?
Yeah, well, let us know your thoughts. What did you guys think of Ant-Man Wasp Quantumania? If you don't have Disney Plus, hit us up in the comments. Dylan will drop his account and password below. Maybe social security. You could hit him up for his credit card, whatever you need. Dylan's got you covered. We'd love for you to share your opinions on the movie, what went right, what went wrong. And if you're enjoying this, make sure you hit some more of these videos below because it really does help us out quite a bit. And hit that like and subscribe so Brody can afford more beard lotioning or oiling. Do you lotion a beard? That's weird. That's gross. All right. We'll see you next time. Don't lotion your beards.
Bye.